What's going on, guys? This is Miasin and welcome to my Labrynth deck profile. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you guys. I don't know how to properly deck build this deck at a 100% yet because it's still extremely new, so this is still a rough draft. But I will be doing a live stream on this deck very soon. Of course, trying to get 500 likes on this video as well. Please, and consider subscribing to my channel as well. And of course, this deck is ridiculously consistent and powerful if you get your engine started, of course. If you don't, then you're going to have to grind for these starter cards like the Field Spell with the Welcome Labyrinth. But yeah, like I said, when you get your stuff going, you become unstoppable. So let's jump right into it. So I'm playing one Silver Castle. This is kind of like the boss monster of the deck. I don't think playing more than one makes any sense because it can be kind of bricky. It's a level 8 monster, so you don't want to draw like 3 copies of this card turn 1. Fleur de Lis is the kind of card that you can search with Ecclesia because I did want it to play the Dogmatica package in this deck. Nadir Servant going to 2 isn't like the end of the world, to be honest. And then I'm playing one Labrynth Archfiend. This card can set a normal trap card that activates only when an attack is declared, so technically the Mirror Force cards, but they're not that great. I wanted to go for the Fair Welcome Labrynth instead, which is still a Labrynth card, and I can shuffle it back with the Quick Play spell, which gets me Artifact Sanctum, which is very good post game 1. And now I'm playing 3 Ariane and 3 Ariana, so I didn't say anything incorrect here. Ariane is a Tour Guide-esque card, and Ariana is a Stratos-esque card. And their second effect is the exact same, so, you know, draw 1 card, and then summon 1 fiend if you want to from your hand, not graveyard. The Field Spell summons from your graveyard when you activate a non-Labrynth normal trap card, and you really benefit off of normal trap cards. So that's the reason why I'm not really playing cards like Goes and Match, Solemn Strike, etc. I really want to play as many normal trap cards as possible so that this Field Spell is always super live. Anyways, so I'm playing 1 Ecclesia, of course, because of Nadir Servant, 3 Chandra, and 3 Stovey. These cards can discard cards on your opponent's turn, so if you want, you can play Nessie and Bigfoot, maybe cut the Dogmatica package, or you can just cut the Dogmatica package and play nothing else, and this deck would become a 40-card deck. That would be a very respectable option, to be honest. So if you think 40 cards is better, be my guest. And yeah, of course, 2 Pot of Prosperity, 2 Nadir Servant, and 2 Pot of Prosperity, the Quick Play spell card. This card is very hard to use turn 1, so 1 copy is way more than enough. It's more of a grind game card. 3 Field Spell, 3 Imperm, 3 Ice Dragon's Prison, 1 Trap Trick, because it can kind of be a little weird when you have like way too many copies of Trap Trick. Sometimes you just can't really like, I don't know, like it breaks because it's once per turn in a way. If you have 2 Trap Trick, you activate the first one, then you set 1 card. You can't really use like your other cards. You can only use like 1 trap for the rest of the turn, and that's like my issue with Trap Trick. Ice Dragon's Prison is also once per turn, but what I like about Ice Dragon's Prison is that if you use it and your opponent negates it with Dragoon, and you have a second one, you can just use the other one right away, and it will still banish the Dragoon, so that is one way of clearing it. Imperm is, of course, not only a normal trap card that gets your freaking Field Spell effect going, but also it's a hand trap, so no reason not to play it. Drag by Punishment is broken because you honestly don't need your extra deck at all. None of my combos, I went into my extra deck, so this is still a trap deck at the end of the day, and these decks are known to be able to play just with their main deck, like Eldritch, Altergeist even. It doesn't even need Hextia that much. I've lost so many games to Altergeist without even seeing Hextia at all, just because people were going like Silk Quiltus Control, or like, I don't know, just summoning a bunch of monsters, Marionetter like 10 billion times, Melusik sends so many cards, and this deck is a little similar in that aspect. Compose, that's also not once per turn, bounces back cards, triggers like your Field Spell and everything, so very cool card. Welcome Labrynth, this card is broken, it's basically the Scarlet Sanguine of the deck. And now 1 Fair Welcome Labrynth and 1 Labrynth Barrage, which copies the effect of a normal trap card that you just used. So that's pretty much it for the main deck. Now for the extra deck, I'm playing 1 Titanic Lad because you want to send it with Nadir Servant so you can summon your Ecclesia or search your Fleur de Lis. So just with 1 Nadir Servant, you get the Fleur de Lis negate, and you also have the Drag by Punishment, which is pretty cool. And now I'm playing 3 Elder Entity Entis and the Wind Pegasus Adignister, which are great cards to send off of the punishment. Elder Entity Entis is a little more proactive because it allows you to immediately destroy another card once you send it with the punishment, but the Wind Pegasus Adignister is a little more reactive. You have to wait until your opponent destroys one of your cards, and then you can shuffle back 1 card your opponent controls. So if you are scared of cards like Winda, Elder Entity Entis doesn't really deal with them, with Winda, whereas Wind Pegasus Adignister is a very good answer for that. Now, that's it for these targets. For the Xyz monsters that you can actually summon, in a way, 2 Zeus, Baguska, Steel Swarm Roach, Evil Swarm Exciton Knight, the Evil Swarm version of Steel Swarm Roach. It's technically the same monster, just a little more evil. And then Evil Swarm Nightmare, speaking of evil stuff, ooh. And Rhapsody and Berserk. Rhapsody is actually pretty interesting because you can banish your opponent's DPE and Destiny Hero Celestial in your grave and in the grave, so they do not get any recursion. And now you might be thinking, but Yasin, you're only playing Fiend monsters in your extra deck. Why is that the case? Because of the drawback of Welcome Labyrinth, you can only summon Fiend monsters from your extra deck or deck for the rest of the next turn after you use it. So if you play a lot of cards that you can't summon, like, I don't know, Castel, Tornado, Dragon, they will be in your extra deck and you'll never be able to do anything with them. So I just wanted to have as many valid playable options as possible. Even the Zeus, honestly, might just never come up. Anyways, I'm also playing the Nightmare package. Access code would be very hard to play. So I'm playing Unicorn, Phoenix, and Cerberus. And that's it, that's all. Masquerade now wouldn't make too much sense. And you honestly really want to keep your Ariane and Ariana on the field anyways, because they draw cards on your opponent's turn as well. So if you want to draw into hand traps potentially, maybe play like Effect Veiler in your deck, that's why it's in the idea section, you could be doing that and just play it more of a control deck than a really aggressive or just very trap heavy deck. So make it a little bit more mid-range with more hand traps and more aggressive cards. So that's it for the main deck and for the extra deck. Now, for the idea section, I already covered Danger Bigfoot and the interaction with the Chandra and the Stove in my combo video, but if you don't understand, basically, these two cards, they can send themselves from the hand or field to the graveyard and discard one card to set one Labyrinth spell or trap directly from your hand or deck to the field. And because of the fact that you can have a quick effect that discards a card, Bigfoot can become an interruption on your opponent's turn. So in other words, Bigfoot is basically like a better Effect Veiler. It's almost like a proactive Ghost Ogre or a Gamma that doesn't negate, if that makes any sense, but not really. So yeah, that's the reason why I'm playing Bigfoot and, well, considering playing Bigfoot and Nessie in a way. And then Effect Veiler is another card that, like I said, you could play. Really want to draw cards like Effect Veiler that you can use over cards like Imperm that you won't be able to use because you will control monsters. So that is one advantage that Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Bell, and cards like that have over Imperm. Now, of course, I'm playing Artifact Sanctum. You can either tutor this card out with Trap Trick or with the Quick Play spell card that allows you to set any normal trap card from your deck to your field, but the condition is a little tricky and this card does nothing going second, and that's the reason why I don't think main decking Artifact Sanctum really makes that much sense. So I think it's a little better in the in the side deck. Now, for Token Collector, that is a Fiend monster that you can summon with Ariane. So if you're really scared of Brave Token or Sword Soul, Token Collector could be a very great option for you. And it allows you to make rank 4s as well, and it gets back it recycles, well, it summons itself back from the graveyard. It's like a hand/grave trap, if that makes any sense. So yeah, Artifact Scythe, of course, Dugaris, another Fiend monster that you can summon, but skipping your phases is a little too rough, so I'm not a super big fan. Terraforming and Metaverse if you're really thirsty for that field spell, but like I said, it's not a proactive starter on its own. So if you just see the field spell, you don't do that much. So that's the reason why, even though I'm playing 3 copies, I wouldn't play like 5 copies of the card with even like set rotation and demise of the land and stuff like that. I think that makes like absolutely 0 sense. So I don't think these cards are really worth playing in the main deck at least. And now Pot of Prosperity if you want like more consistency, but I think 2 Prosperity should be fine. And finally, another fair Welcome Labyrinth that I don't think you should be playing. And Gozen and Solemn Strike that I already explained, I think, in maybe this video, where I said that normal trap cards were a little better to play because of the fact that they triggered the effects of your Labyrinth cards, because your opponent's monsters have to be sent by your normal trap card effects, so Solemn Strike would just not really do it. It's still a great card, it's just that it doesn't really have synergy with your deck outside of being a trap card that hurts your opponent. So that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know how you guys actually feel about this deck in the comment section below. I really would like to hear your guys' thoughts. And if you had any idea on how to build this deck differently, please let me know as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.